So this is the video that I never planned to record today. Frankly, I've been too exhausted to record anything. However, I wanted to test this new gear, and yeah, I need to talk for a while. I need to say something. I need to test it, like for a good while, actually. So I need to figure out what to talk about. And hypothetically, this is not the case where I would want to post it, if that wasn't me, but there is a high chance that I will post it. Today was a little bit emotionally hectic day for me. Because I'm still grappling with this idea of how do I connect with people. And the question is, how do I connect with people so that it brings me joy? And what part of that is something that I can or should heal, and what part of that is my default setting as a human being, something that I'm comfortable with, something that I prefer. And I have no answer to this at this point, but I have some thoughts. Like, I have a feeling that I may know the direction where this is going. And this was part of the feedback that I received yesterday, that I received today. And the feedback was that I do look comfortable when I share online. And I am comfortable when I share online. And people do recognize that I'm not quite comfortable making one-on-one connections. And that is true. That is very true. And being uncomfortable is probably not the most correct word here, because I used to be very uncomfortable making one-on-one connections, mostly one-on-one. I'm always comfortable with crowds, surprisingly. I'm always comfortable with, I haven't been always, I haven't been comfortable with online. However, at this point, this does feel like when I talk to an audience, like a live audience, like a crowd. So it feels better, though. It does feel better because I have a little less visual information, because visual information distracts me. And frankly, even seeing myself into monitors here, it is distracting for me, and I'm learning to basically disregard that and to, not to be distracted. And this is partially why I'm still searching for that perfect gear, something that would not only give me the quality that I would like to see in my videos, but also something that won't be distracting. which is at this point, I think I'm happy with it because, well, I'll do my best. I don't know where I look. I don't know how it look on video, and this is not the point. So, with one-on-one connection, it is very different because, like, I do see myself as an empathetic person to a certain degree, even though I'm not happy with that word. But when I'm with a person, somehow I pick up a lot of things from them, the mood, the vibes, and previously, like for my whole life, that was an issue. That was kind of a big issue when when I felt something and I couldn't discern, was it something coming from me or from them? So it's all a mess. I couldn't discern between what I feel and what I pick up from other people. Now I do discern. I know what's mine, what's not mine. However, this is an interesting experience actually. So in this dynamic with another person in front of me, I think I, I think I have two options. Um, Let them lead and follow what happens in the space between us, or yeah, basically follow. So they may not want to lead, they may not think they're leading, but picking up like matching the mood, not intentionally, not like coaches teach, but intuitively, naturally. That's what I used to do. I used to match people's vibes in a way. In a way. So I was a mirror. In a way, that was basically subconscious thing. So I couldn't manage it. I didn't know how to. And back then I was also confused. I was confusing what I feel with who I am. So that was all a mess. But now I see where I let go and let them just do whatever. Sometimes with people that I'm comfortable with letting into my life, I can do that to a certain degree. I can give them more space. In a way, give them more space to lead, basically, to bring whatever they want to bring in front of me in this conversation, the topics that we're talking, the outcome of the conversation. I don't know, like a lot of things that a person can bring into the conversation. If that person is really close to me, I would probably, I'm not sure if I'm doing that, but I could let them lead. And at this point, yeah, I'm definitely not, I'm definitely not publishing this video. So at this point, I realized that actually, what happens now is not what I just, it's not what I just said. So I think at this point, And previously in my life, I allowed people that I don't quite know, and I'm not sure if I want to let them into my life. I gave them too much space. And when I did that, what happened is that they established some, let's call it rules. They led, to a degree that they could, the conversation, the relationship, um, again, to a degree that they're used to doing that in their own lives. And I was pretty damn uncomfortable with that. So my natural reaction was to withdraw from people and create distance between me and people. And I'm pretty comfortable with that. Like, I don't need crowds in my private life. Like, I'm comfortable with very few people that are close to me. However, I do love people, and I want to talk to them, and I want to get to know them. However, what I just realized, while just talking, I realized that I used to give too much space. I used to let people lead, but those people were not the ones that I chose to get close to be my closest circle. Have I ever allowed people that are close to me lead? No. I mean, I did. I allowed, but I think I'm not comfortable with other people when other people lead the dynamics in interaction, because I cannot, like, relationship is a big idea, and I think it varies how people see it. And leading a relationship sounds like it doesn't sound right. It's not what I mean. I mean dynamics. I mean topics mostly to talk to, which is challenging for me because I'm not interested in topics that people are interested in. I'm not interested in gossip, dinners, holiday or weekend plans, this steady, normal life, or neither am I interested in talking, just giving the report of how my life goes. I hate it. I don't like it. And quite often, it's either or. I mean, the best choice for me would be listening to another human being. Probably this is why I don't feel too great about today's meeting that I had with a friend. I think I messed up and I took too much space. Like, when I meet with people, I would like to lead the conversation, lead the space. However, I want to learn about them more than I express. And I think I tried to do it in a wrong way. So instead of leading, I gave people space. I just withdrew myself from the whole thing. I became just nothingness, empty space. In a way, that was holding space for them, but I never structured the conversation. I never held the conversation. And that is a skill. That is something that also needs to be practiced, but also this is the feeling that I didn't have back then, and I feel like now I do. I can do that. It may not be the most obvious, like, I'm not used to doing that. So this is something that I need to just remember to practice, but I can do it. So leading the conversation is one thing, and listening to them is another thing. This is what I can be curious about, and I am curious about. And for that, I think I need a set of, I need to do a bit of a preparation. I have and have a set of questions that I can discuss with people to learn about them because I want to learn about them. But other than that, people normally cannot help me with things much. Sometimes they give me interesting ideas, more like an inspiration to dig into something, to learn more about certain things, but I rarely get that satisfaction from just a learning experience, let's say that. Like with books, with everything with the research that I do, I receive way more joy and information in the amounts and the depth and variety that I prefer, which is a preference. It doesn't make me, it just makes me different. So I think my biggest fear was, and frankly have always been, the fear that people would think that I consider myself better than them. This is why I always hid myself. But I'm trying to get used to this thought that I'm different. And I'm allowed to be, and I'm allowed to say, hey, yeah, I'm not interested in just conversations about, I don't know, parties or dinners or brunches or who dates whom. Again, if I can help, if that is something that I can bring my input in, something that we can solve right here, right now, sure, um, I'm happy. I'm happy to help. But if that is something that's just for the sake of the discussion, or again, some holiday plans. I don't have days off. I don't have holidays. I basically don't sleep. So all of those, and I don't eat. Like I literally have no time for what people call leisure. Like for all of those activities that people do. And that's whole another topic. Why I don't like it, and I actually think that quite a few people, like most people, can benefit from carving a bit of time from that, from those experiences, and putting that into their development in different areas that could be way more fulfilling and relaxing in different ways. Like fulfillment will take this space, and fulfillment and relaxation. I think it's something, it's different, but fulfillment works better. Like it just feeds you energy, and relaxation is like you're trying to recharge from basically from being empty. You're trying to recharge with stillness. However, fulfillment is that battery, and you may still be physically exhausted like I am lately, like for months, for almost a year or more. I am just exhausted physically. However, the energy that I feel, um, how I feel inside, it's I've never felt that before ever in my life. So this is something that's out of my perception of what was possible for me. So I think many people can benefit from that, and that comes from doing things that people are aligned with, whatever is their thing. It could be, I don't know, gardening, music, singing, art, books, research, history, whatever. But people spend too much time on meaningless things. But that's, again, you don't have to agree with me. This is just how I see that. And I did watch a movie yesterday. I think it was the first movie in months, maybe this year even. So yeah, sometimes I do that too. And so the dynamics of change, the dynamics of growth, the pace of lives, of my life and normal people's lives, it's very different. So what I care about is learning about the human being as a soul, as the holistic experience of being them. And what I'm mostly interested in, finding actually that thing that brings them, that brings the spark into their eyes. They don't always call it, they don't always realize that it's the thing that's probably um, brings them, brings life into them. Um, Quite a few, like most people that I met, they diminish that thing. But I see the spark and I love it. I love just seeing it. I love just feeling it in them because I feel life in them. Because when people tell me, when they talk about relationships trouble or work tasks or trouble or I don't know, plans for this, whatever people do with their spare time, I don't see that spark. I see the need to distract themselves, like the need to, I see distraction basically, not the need. When people, I mean, people won't ever choose some troubles at work. But that's all noise and distraction, noise and distraction, noise and distraction. And so very few people, they replace noise with purpose, purposeful choice, and purposeful thing, like this is what I love, or this is what I prefer to do, because um, love is a tricky word. People perceive love as this warm, fuzzy bubble, and it doesn't match with grind. It doesn't match with the dynamics of a real thing that brings fulfillment. And so I try to call it our default settings or something that we're aligned to. Because if you ask me, do I love podcasting? Well, frankly, I hated being on camera when I was a kid. However, I always loved, and again, I never phrased it this way. I never put it this way. I was telling that it feels good. It always feels good for me to be in front of people and talk to people, like crowds, not necessarily one-on-one. With one-on-one, again, I feel that person a little bit too much, and that could be not necessarily my choice or something that brings me joy or pleasure even. So not always I would like to feel the other person so much. So when I have a bit of a distance and the crowd has a very different dynamic, I do love that. I always love that. So there is the part that I need to push through, like my fears of expression, fears of, I don't know, being on camera or whatever. I don't have them anymore, but I used to. And there's this thing that is actually really comfortable and joyful for me. But people, quite often, they see the obstacle pretty clearly, and that could be the most common obstacle. I have to take care of my family. I have to spend time with friends. I have to earn my living, like make my living. What's the difference in English? Make my living, earn my living, whatever. Make money, and I don't have time for that thing that I wish I had time to do. Well, you could. I mean, that's a simple choice. That's a very simple choice. It's not that easy to implement, for sure, because when a person is used to doing something, it's like it takes reframing and it takes practice to switch from this old version of yourself, old patterns to new patterns. But it's doable, very doable. And I wish more people were seeking that solution. At least like seeking that, basically. Not even getting this done, but at least know, like, that's for words. I wish people wanted to connect with who they are, with what they're made of. I'm made of music. I still have to learn the basics, the music theory, the notes. So does it like? So I'm not proficient in it, clearly. Does it mean I should stop? Well, I'm not dead yet, so no. I want to compose. So, and I still have, you know, my head, my hands, my eyes, my brain, which is fine. Like, clearly it's not my, like, biggest priority. It's not my first priority today, but it could be in a few months. I'm like, could get to the top of my priorities if everything else is on track. So I think I'm really sad when people don't seek that and they go for this distraction, which they think it's valuable. But I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical on many, many levels. I think that spending too much with each other also enables old patterns and kind of confirms the old patterns rather than enables thinking out of the box. What else is possible? However, like, frankly, it depends on the crowd. But I'm thinking more about people like the average people, those who are less fortunate than me at this point, and I'm not an example of anything again, but I'm thinking about the environment that I came from. I'm thinking about people who have less, uh, because there's more of them. Because if you okay, if I think about top thinkers or top podcasters, clearly they have um, slightly slightly very different environment, and that environment is supportive. And there is the whole thing in the startup or whatever entrepreneurial culture that says, oh, you should pick your crowd, oh, you should choose those people who move you forward. But I mean, this is a little bit disrespectful to me. It sounds disrespectful to a human being. Well, you should grow yourself, and then the crowd changes naturally. And I know the feeling of outgrowing people that are in your life, your friends, your family, um, someone, your partner, uh, and it's not the best feeling ever, but it's life, and this is something that should be managed. Each one of us has to learn how to manage it in a loving way to maintain the connection, to keep that person in their lives, those people in their lives, but yet to make space for growth and for moving forward. Again, there are cases when it's harder, like for example, if that person is dependent and physically um, incapable of taking care of themselves, like a kid or someone with a sickness or whatever. So clearly, the space that I'm talking about, it would be harder to manage. However, in most cases, we can manage that space. And we slow our growth because of the society, let's call it that, let's call it very general, that says certain things, and we don't bother thinking what else is there, what other options could be there. Maybe I'll be the first one to find that option. We don't think like that anymore. We're like, oh, see, this book says that. It has to be this. And people believe in conspiracies and unicorns rather than believing in an idea that what if everyone can be Elon Musk in their own space, in their own area of interest? And you know what Elon did? He read a lot of books. This is me being proud that I started doing something similar recently. So again, it may sound like me complaining about humanity, and in a way, I may be. However, this is my path. This is something that I experienced firsthand. I spent my time going to restaurants, watching Netflix, chasing relationships, holding on to relationships, all kinds of relationships, family included. And that was an experience. However, I think that could be optimized and done better with more love, more freedom, more authority over one's life, and with higher choices. So that is that. I clearly forgot where I started, but what I'm happy about is that my camera still works, and I may actually risk posting this, even though I promised myself not to post 40-minute recordings anymore, but hey, here I am. So I do prefer to keep my distance, because I need that distance for growth. Not from everyone, but mostly from most people on a different levels. And it doesn't mean that people sometimes call it, oh, you don't like people. I do like people. I love people. And specifically because of that, I need to manage the boundaries. And what I learned during this little monologue is that I would like to lead the communication, and by leading the communication, I want that communication to be about other person, because I'm deeply uncomfortable, even with relatively close people, when I talk too much about myself. I would rather do it here. I would rather talk to you, report to the world, rather than reporting to one human being, because the time that I spend with people is like one-on-one is very limited. It's limited because they have their own lives, limited because I prefer it this way. And by that, I want to spend that time in an efficient way. And it seems like I forgot to turn off my air conditioning, so I'm glad I'm wrapping up here. And it's about time. 38 minutes. And we're good. See you next time.